Hello everybody and welcome back to our channel. Welcome back to the hurricane season outlook and discussion June 3rd 2020, and in today's video we're going to be looking at the sea surface temperatures of the whole Atlantic basin, basically the deep tropics. We'll be looking at the ocean heat content. Obviously the skin of the ocean temperature is one thing, but how deep does the warm waters go? The deeper the warmer waters go, the more available heat energy, latent heat there is. Basically, it's more favorable from a thermodynamic perspective. So as you can see here, so the surface temperature anomalies here around Florida and the Bahamas, it's cooking right now. It's between 2 and 3 degrees above average. Basically, that's like astronomically warm. And in the Keys, there was this thing that's seen on Twitter. They recorded a temperature of 33.6 Celsius, like a buoy. It was recorded somewhere in the Keys. That is crazy. It's only beginning of July, and the peak for sea surface temperatures around August. So that's just crazy, and I'm sure it's like record breaking for this time of year. But basically, the whole northern Atlantic, the Caribbean, the Gulf, the eastern parts of the Caribbean, it's well above average, but anywhere between 0.8 and 3 degrees above average. So the western Atlantic is basically ready now. The only thing that needs to happen is less dry air, less wind shear, and just more moisture around. And when that happens, then basically it's like the stage is set, as they say. But if you're in the Caribbean, the Gulf Coast, and the East Coast, you should be prepared by now. Make sure you have your hurricane insurance ready, your generators all checked out and ready. Your plans where to go when a hurricane comes your way. This season could be very, very active, so please be really cautious. Make sure you have all your plans ready in place, so when there's a hurricane on the way, you're all prepared. Because the last thing we want is a hurricane to come towards your area, and you just leave it until the last minute, and then it's too late to prepare, and you're basically stuck. And basically to ride out, say, a Cat 4, Cat 5, Category 3, even a lower end hurricanes can cause huge problems. Even tropical storms have killed people. Say a tropical storm comes, say, to Florida, and go, oh, it's just a tropical storm, it's not going to be that impactful and all that. It can, because it can create big swells, rip currents, and that. And the biggest killer for storms is ocean, is water. So you have to be careful with rip currents and minor surge, swells, and even flooding. So please be prepared for this season. So just make sure you have all your hurricane plan in place, everything ready, so you're prepared for when the storm comes. Well, the storm comes your way potentially. And as I said, 31 to 32 Celsius around the Bahamas, most parts of Florida, 30 degrees or so off the coast of Louisiana, 30 to 31 degrees off the coast of Cuba, 30 degrees off the around north of Haiti. So basically, the western Atlantic's primed for a storm to come along now, and ocean heat content around the Bahamas and in the western parts of the Caribbean, which I'm showing you now, is pretty crazy. So it's just one to keep an eye on, because obviously the deeper the warmer waters go, the more potential for stronger storms, because it's there's more energy for the storm to tap into. So if you look at the tropical Atlantic here, so as a whole it's between average to slightly below average, but in recent days it has been warming slightly in the most extreme part of the eastern parts of the deep tropics and towards the coast of Africa. And I won't be surprised in the coming weeks, because the westerly trade winds will be coming off Africa, and I wouldn't be surprised if because obviously the Saharan area obviously does if the sun finds it hard to go through the Saharan area, so then oceans will be slower to warm up. But like there is some signs that we could see see some more warming in the in the eastern parts of the Atlantic, so it's something to keep an eye on for sure. If we look at the sea surface temperatures, it's starting to warm up, as you can see, just off of the Cape Verde Islands. The 26 degrees is starting to push northwards now, and off the east coast of Africa, it's starting to go more north as well. So as we're going into the weeks and months, this whole area it'll be like 26 and above. So it's one of those things that we're just gonna have to keep an like an eye on. And every video will like keep on like saying like what the changes are. As I said, ocean heat content now. So I've got two of them: 2020, which is this one; 2017, which is this one. So it's exactly the 3rd of July for both of them. So basically, this time in July 2017, it was like this. So the ocean heat content around the Caribbean was like around 75 to 100 basically. This year, it's between 125 and like 150 in western parts of the Caribbean. Even in the Bahamas, it's getting towards 150. Like, that is really sufficient for hurricanes. Like anything above 50 is quite sufficient, and anything above like 75 is well sufficient. So if you see 150s around the area, it's crazy. And just look at the difference between 2020, so the 3rd of July 2020, this is now, the 3rd of July 2017. Look at the difference. It's quite startling. The only difference is this year the ocean heat content here is slightly more south, so it isn't as far north, but it should recover. And like it just seems more focused this year. Even the Gulf has like a more widespread higher ocean heat content. The Antilles and off the coast of like Cuba, Haiti, in like the Dominican Republic, obviously, and Puerto Rico, it's way higher than what 2017 was. So we'll keep an eye on this in like the coming weeks and months. But like this is quite concerning, and the Bahamas is really high. It's like around 150 nearly. So it's one of those things to keep an eye on. And like the Gulf Stream's getting towards like 50 to 75 as well. So like that's quite sufficient. So we'll come at this in future videos to see like what it's showing. If we look at the GFS model here for the whole Atlantic, so this is cyclonic vorticity. So obviously the higher on like the scale it goes, and the darker red is basically more cyclonic spin. And obviously you want it to be bundled. So you see here, that's just a general low pressure. It's not really bundled or tight or tightly confined. And what you want to see basically is something like that. Like because as you can see in Eastern Pacific, I'll go like onto this at the end in more detail. But you see how it's more bundled up and more focused. That's basically saying it's like really organized, and like it's like rapidly rotating, and like it's very like focused in like a very small area, consolidated area. When like this, it's just more general slack. But as we go on into next week, the middle of next week, the end of next week, there's nothing too much. The trade winds are coming in off Africa. It's pretty strong as well. The Saharan area is still prevalent. As we're going towards the end of the run, towards the 16th of July, there isn't much. There is a little spin in the MDR, but the dry air is still a problem. And if I go on dry air here, it's just too dry. And then if I go on some wind shear here, the 200 millibar flow, it's just not too favourable at the minute basically for storms. But as we get into the mid and the end of July, I wouldn't be surprised if like we do get a storm forming anywhere in the basin really, because it's just primed. If we look at the ACMWF here, for the whole Atlantic Basin, it's basically the same as the GFS. We could see a little system off like the east coast, but that's too far out. But basically, as a whole, there's not too much going on. For the foreseeable future, but it's one to keep an eye on, because something could just randomly spawn up. So it's one of those things where we're just gonna have to keep an eye on it. If we look at the GFS quickly here, so if we look here towards the middle of next week, we've got a storm here. It could become maybe named, but I won't bank on it. But then as we go on into the end of next week, you can see the first storm forms, and it actually starts to intensify quite quickly. And it could become a category 1, category 2, but obviously it is a bit far out, so we don't know for details. But the chance of it forming is probably likely. So in the coming days, we'll like see, like the Eastern Pacific Center like start to obviously increase the risk, and then like we could see a named storm. And as we go on towards the end of the run here, there is a stronger storm that forms, and it becomes a very strong, potentially category 3 storm here. But that's far too far out. But it is quite consistent. If I go on the 6 o'clock run, it's showing it again, but just a bit far further south. If I go on the run before that, the 0 o'clock run, it's there again. So it's consistent, but the place where it's different, the intensity is slightly different, and it's far out, so we don't know for sure. In like if you're in the bush of California, Mexico, don't let your guard regardless. There's no sign of storms hitting land in a minute, but I wouldn't like let your guard down at all. Because it's hurricane season after all, so you shouldn't like let your guard down at all. Okay guys, so that's it for today's video. I hope you found it informative and interesting. Please like and subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss another upload. So it's 2 videos in a row now. So I took I will try to upload more. I'm expected to upload tomorrow, so expect a video around a similar time. I'll probably focus on Eastern Pacific this time more than the Atlantic, but I'll still show the ocean heat, the heat content, and just the temperature, like in the Atlantic, but it'll just be more brief. And then the main part of the video it'll be the Eastern Pacific tomorrow. So I hope you found it interesting and informative, and I'll see you tomorrow.